Welcome live into the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. We are live here on YouTube and on Rumble. I got producer Trace riding shotgun as always. Welcome in. Appreciate everybody for tuning into today's show. Jam-packed show for you guys. The latest news and rumors from training camp. Plus, we will answer all of your questions later on in the show as well. So stay tuned for all of that. In the meantime, shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Give me just a second to tweet this out. Boom, there we go. And I am ready to go. What's going on, everybody? Saw a few of you guys waiting in the chat. We got Tony in the chat, JJ Hackett. We got Min Hee in the chat, Cole Keller, JJ's in Tigard, Oregon, Jay Nix in Germany. What's good? Wichita in the house from Cole Keller. Renee Rodriguez is in San Antonio. We got Noah in the chat. Let's see. Broyos is Kansas City. What's good? Who else we got in here? We got Kevin out in Arizona. We've got Isaac in London. Veggie in Memphis. We've got Chris saying, let's go in Dallas, but from Wyandotte. Hey, we're in Dallas, Ken. What's good? Wichita, Kansas from Travis. Wolfsburg, Germany is where Thorson's watching. Let's see. Bowling Green from Cord. Matt is in Knoxville. We got Johnny in Shawnee, Kansas. DeReal Chiefs fan in Denver. Appreciate you guys for tuning in here on a Monday as we keep our live shows going every single Monday here. Myself, producer Trace, going to be ready to go 3 o'clock Central every single week here on Mondays. All right, this is the live poll question of the day. Is 6 games a long enough suspension for Deshaun Watson? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. 59% say no. 41% say yes. So somewhat close to 50-50, more 60-40 here. Broyo says yes. JJ says no. Josh and Alyssa say no. Hell no from DeReal Chiefs fan. Kevin says no. Renee says no. Broyo says yes. Matt Radar no. Michael and Thorson say no. Tony says no. Newton says no. Deldrick says he was out last year. Doesn't matter, Deldrick. If he wanted to, he could have played last year. Now maybe the NFL would have stepped in, but since he didn't want to play for the Texans, but he was not suspended last year. He did not play because he didn't want to play for the Texans. Aaron says yes. J-Nick says no, not compared to others. Noah says yes, innocent until proven guilty. Durr says Ridley says no. Yeah, I do think Calvin Ridley might agree with you on that one. Let's see. And yeah, Cole, you're making the point that I made that was his choice to sit out last year. That had nothing to do with the league. The league did not suspend Watson last season. He sat out with the Houston Texans. Okay, so was just curious to see where you guys fell on that one. How excited are you that Orlando Brown is back? Scale from 1 to 10. Now, he wasn't at practice today, but according to reports, he is ending his holdout. I expect him back at practice tomorrow. Scale it from 1 to 10. How excited are you? 10 being very excited, 1 being not at all. 15 from Almighty Goat. Kevin says 10. Josh and Alyssa say 9. Jobly says 10. Hikemo says 10. Mike Tilson 8. Guillermo says 9. Renee says 7. 2, trade him, please. Why, Antonio? I get if you're frustrated, but you need Orlando Brown. 100 from Broyo, 11 from Tony, 10, let's get it. Kyle says 9, JJ says 11, Michael Porter says 10, Chris Nicholas says 10, Tony says 11. Yeah, I think you should be excited that he's back. He's got a chance to become a premier left tackle this year, and if he does, he's going to be paid like so next year, which Brett Veach says is still the goal for the team. All right, 2 mailbags coming up on today's show, so you can super chat or use hashtag Chiefs to get your questions in. Those are the only 2 ways to get your questions on the show. Producer Trace, he'll tell you, if you want to get on the show, you got to use hashtag Chiefs or you got to use the super chat function. Otherwise, it will not work. So, for example, will Orlando Brown get traded? that won't get in unless you put the hashtag Chiefs in the question. So there you go. Hashtag Chiefs Super Chat. Get those questions in for today's show. There you go. This is how it's done. Trace, we just tweeted out. Our mod just put it in there, Patrick. Use hashtag Chiefs to ask a question. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So there you go. That's how you can get on the show today. A couple of mailbags coming up. Biggest training camp winners so far. What do you guys think? We'll do some training camp winners and losers later in the week. Who do you think the biggest camp winner is up to this point? Could it be Sky Moore? People are talking. What do you guys think? Biggest training camp winner up to this point? Cord is a good example. He used the hashtag Chiefs. Max says Sky Moore. Sid Cox says Juju. So does Broyo. We got Trent McDuffie from Josh. Let's see. Sky Moore from Cole. Juju. Yeah, a lot of Sky Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster hype right now. That's for sure. Frank Clark, he's had a nice start to camp. Sky Moore from Ricky. More what's going on with Isaiah Pacheco. He's done some good things as well, rotating in with the ones sometimes, the 7th-round running back out of Rutgers. So keep an eye on that. Mike Tilson says Juju. Heike says Sky Moore. Travis Kelce from Broyo. You know, him and Mahomes are almost too obvious, right? Like, they're always going to be in the winner category. Kevin says Juju. Sky is lighting the league up with number 15 at QB. He might. Frank looks good. I hope Frank Clark bounces back, man. We'll talk a little bit about him in our news and rumors show coming up in here in a second. All right, hit that thumbs up icon if you love the Chiefs. Like the video. Come on, we only got 20 likes right now. Can we get to 40? 40 likes, and then we will get into the bulk of today's show. So like this video if you love the Chiefs, if you're part of Chiefs Kingdom, hit that thumbs up icon, and then we will dive into the latest Chiefs news and rumors coming out of Chiefs training camp. So go ahead and like this video if you are a true Chiefs fan. I see 34 likes. We need 6 more. Let's get to 40. Come on. Like the video. Hit that thumbs up icon. Someone says Jody Fortson. He was, then he got banged up. We have an update on him coming up in just a second as well. Mike Tilson has liked the video. Appreciate that, Mike. Appreciate everybody else who has liked it as well. 39 likes. Let's get one more, and then we will jump in. Tony Fuentes has liked it. Minhee has liked it. So we are good to go. Just crossed 40. Here we go. Latest news and rumors coming out of training camp at St. Joseph. Today's Chiefs Report is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Switch your cell phone provider to Mint Mobile today with wireless plans starting at just $15 per month. Save some money, whereas other things are very, very expensive right now with Mint Mobile. MintMobile.com/chatsports, the cell phone company that is owned by actor Ryan Reynolds. All right, welcome into the Chiefs Report. We have the latest Chiefs news and rumors coming up from training camp. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Hope everybody is having a great start to their week. We had a video earlier today about Orlando Brown ending his holdout. We'll give you the latest on him coming up here in a little bit. But first, Patrick Mahomes, a little injury scare. I think we're okay here. Mahomes briefly entered the medical tent earlier today to tape up his left ankle. Returned to practice shortly after. Andy Reid in his presser after practice says he got stepped on. He is okay. So obviously that is a good sign that your franchise quarterback didn't sprain an ankle or something like that during practice. Don't think there's much to see here, but always good to be cautious. You definitely don't want to push it on August 1st, right? Unless he's good to go. So good to see him back out there. He's jogging off the field with his teammates. But anytime you see the tweets come in, Patrick Mahomes heading to the injury tent, your heart's gonna skip a beat there just for a moment. But all is good, and that is obviously a very good sign. Mahomes even said this after today's practice, quote, "I just got stepped on pretty hard, so I'm sure I'll get a little bit of a scratch and a bruise on there, but luckily it wasn't any of the ankle or anything like that." So he's even saying, yeah, they taped up the ankle, but just got stepped on my foot. No big deal. Now, a big 330-pound lineman steps on you, it's going to hurt a little bit. So yeah, he might have a little bit of a bruise, but overall, don't really have any major concerns. Sure, if there's more developments or updates tomorrow, maybe he wakes up with a bone bruise. There could be something there, but if not, I don't think there's really anything to see here at this point in time. But this is why you subscribe, because we're going to have the latest Chiefs training camp news, rumors, injury updates, everything that is coming out of St. Joseph during Chiefs camp. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, turn on that notification bell after you subscribe. That way you never miss a video here on the Chiefs Report. Let's talk about an injury that, well, is an injury. That is Jody Fortson, who left Saturday's practice. We talked about this at an at-home video I did over the weekend. Another reason to subscribe, because we keep you guys in the loop even on my off days. But we knew on Saturday that we wouldn't get an update from the team until today. Well, Chiefs announced that Fortson has a quad strain. Andy Reid says he should be back soon. Great news. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, right? Torn muscle, soft tissue, just a little strain. This is not a big deal whatsoever. Andy Reid even went as far as said it might just be a couple days. Like, we might see him later this week at practice, which is a great sign, because I think Jody Fortson, you look at this tight end depth chart, which is very loose, by the way. After Kelce, they all do a little bit of different things. Jody Fortson could be this team's number 2 tight end and play an impact this year. I really do believe that's a possibility. He was having a very strong start to camp, coming off that Achilles tear, looking very, very good early on here, and I think he can emerge as a legit red zone option for this team. He can be a weapon for Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. We saw flashes of it last year right before the injury. We've seen it early on in camp here, so hopefully doesn't miss too many more practices. He's able to get out there and prove he can be that weapon. I think last year for him, the goal was to make the team. This year is to make an impact week in and week out for this Chiefs offense. Good to see it's only a quad strain, nothing too major for Jody Fortson. Do you think Jody Fortson, sorry about the spelling there, can be a star in the NFL? Now, star is a different deal. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Can Jody Fortson be a star in this league? Give me a Y for yes, or give me an N for no. Now, today's sponsor, Mint Mobile, offers a ton of benefits besides just the obvious one of plans starting at $15 per month. But you want to know you're not getting ripped off. Well, you're not. It's on the nation's largest 5G LTE network, high-speed data. You get unlimited talk and text, which is obviously fantastic. I do everything on my phone, so I need that unlimited data and talk and text. Mobile hotspot for free as well. That's a nice little benefit. And then, to cap it all off with the pricing, it's fantastic. Plans starting at just $15 per month with Mint Mobile. Go check them out today. A link is in the comments and in the description. A cool benefit as well, if you want to keep your same phone and your same phone number, you're able to do that. As long as you've already paid off the phone, they will send you an eSIM card, and you can just switch your provider from whatever you currently have to Mint Mobile. It's easy. It doesn't take very long. I think about 15 minutes to switch over, and you're good to go. MintMobile.com/chatsports. Get started today with Mint Mobile. Okay, let's get on the latest storylines around Orlando Brown here, as earlier today we had the breaking news video that he will end his holdout and report. We didn't know if he'd practice today. He did not, but the holdout is coming to an end. Now, classic Andy Reid quote here when asked about Orlando Brown today. He says, "When the fish is in the boat, I'll let you know." Basically saying, yeah, I heard about the holdout ending, but he wasn't here yet. And until he's here, I don't really care. So that's all he had to say about that. I expect Brown to be at practice tomorrow. I mean, the news came down at about 6, 7 a.m. this morning. They practice at 9:15. So, yeah, it's not a surprise he didn't make it to this morning's practice. But the pads did go on today, and the goal apparently for him was to be back for those padded practices. Even his own agent, Michael Portner, confirmed that. So I would expect to see him back out there tomorrow. Maybe ease him in for a day or two and then be full throttle by the end of this week or early next week. And this is big, right? I mean, you need your horses out there on the offensive line. They've been shuffling some different guys throughout camp, but it was nice to get Orlando Brown back, or it is nice to get him back, I should say, especially considering Lucas Niang is still out. He is still on the PUP list, so getting Orlando Brown back in the fold shores up one tackle spot. Now you got more flexibility, more options at right tackle with Jaron Christian, Roderick Johnson, Andrew Wiley, whoever you want to put over there, Darian Kennard as well. Lots of different bodies you can put it right if Lucas Niang does not get back by week 1. Travis Kelce even added, when asked about getting Orlando Brown back, said, quote, "That's one of our leaders," which I think that's significant for a guy who's only been on this team for 1 year to already be being told by teammates that he's a leader on this team, especially as an offensive lineman. I don't think a lot of teams in the NFL, when they're asked who their leaders are, they're pointing to the 24-year-old left tackle. But that's how they feel about this guy. The Chiefs feel like they want to keep him long-term. Brett Veach said the goal is still to get a long-term deal done. So I think all is trending in the right direction. Orlando Brown should be motivated to play really well this year. That way he really can cash in next offseason. And I expect that to really happen here, because he was starting to really play well in this system toward the end of last year. Are you glad to have Orlando Brown back? Type 1 for yes or type 2 for no. I think you should be. I know I was reading some of the comments. Some of you guys were like, trade this guy. He's holding out. You don't want to trade Orlando Brown. You want this guy here protecting Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to type my 1 for yes. Let's talk about a player that needs to bounce back, and that is Frank Clark, who appears to be locked in early on in camp. He came in good shape, off to a good start. Also did a sit-down interview with The Athletic and had this to say. He's cut booze out of his diet, said, I stopped drinking liquor. Alcohol is a big factor in a lot of the things as far as the weight with the gut. At the end of the day, stopped drinking liquor right after the season, honestly. It was like February. As I'm going on in training, I feel my body is responding to me. I'm able to get up, work out at all times, day and night. That's really it. It was a commitment that I made. Also said he's cut back on red meat as well. And he said, look, I was willing to take a pay cut, and I think the reason he was willing to do that is, A, he knows he didn't play that well that last year, and B, it's a critical year for him. Had to sit down with Andy Reid after the season, he said, and Andy Reid apparently was kind of blunt with him, said, look, you didn't reach our expectations last year. That's why I had to take a pay cut, and now it's time for him to deliver and play well this year, because he's been trending down since joining Kansas City. That first year, pretty good. 8 sacks and was awesome in the postseason. Helped Kansas City bring the Lombardi back to the Chiefs. But next year, only 6 sacks. Last year, only 4.5. I mean, you're trending in the wrong direction. I'm not saying I expect 12 sacks or something like that, but let's get back to that 8 range. This is a capable pass rusher when he's locked in and ready to go. Will he be back to that level this year? He seems like he's committed with his diet and his body right now. Hopefully that carries over into the regular season and pays off for Frank Clark and, of course, for the Kansas City Chiefs. So fill in the blank for me. Frank Clark will have blank sacks this year. I'm going to say 6.5. I'm not fully buying in yet that he's going to have an 8 or 9 or 10 sack season. I'll go 6.5. I think he'll be better than last year. Let me know what you guys think. Fill in the blank. Frank Clark will have blank sacks this season. Get some shout-outs going here on the Chiefs Report. Josh and Alyssa say 7.5. Cole says 6 to 7. Billy says 10. His first double-digit sack with the Chiefs. Kyle says 8. David says 8. Optimistic James says 9. Hey, fits the name, right? Haikimo says 8. JJ says 7. True Brown says 10. 7.5 from Broyo. Almighty Goat says 9.5. Sam Banks says 14. Wow. If Frank Clark has 14 sacks, watch out, because that means Chris Jones is probably going to have a hell of a year as well. Okay, we do have 2 mailbags coming up, so start loading up those questions by either super chatting or using hashtag Chiefs to get your questions in on the show. That way producer Trace is able to filter through the questions and find yours. If you don't use the hashtag or the super chat function, we're just not going to be able to find your question. So you got to use one of those 2 ways to get your question through, and we will be able to answer at least as many questions as we can. If you want to guarantee to get on the show, and you can super chat, just like looks like somebody sent in a super chat. We will get to that one first. You can skip the line by super chatting. That is a guarantee to get on the show. So here we go. First Q&A coming up. Hashtag Chiefs, or you can super chat. It's mailbag time here on the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham, ready and eager to answer all of your questions. So load them up, hashtag Chiefs or super chat, and we'll answer as many of them as we possibly can here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. We'll get things started with the real Chiefs fan. Appreciate the $5 super chat. How important is it that Mahomes uses the preseason to gain chemistry with the new wide receiver group? Also, Orlando reporting is the best thing for Pat. I would say it's mildly important. Andy Reid historically does play his starters more than other coaches. Even Patrick Mahomes last year played a decent amount in the preseason. I would guess he will get some run this year as well, especially in that second and maybe that third game. So yeah, I think there's some value to it. I think training camp will be more valuable in that to build those reps and build that chemistry. But yeah, I think that Mahomes and these front line of receivers will play at least a decent amount in the preseason so they can get some of those live reps against other teams. As far as Orlando, yeah, him reporting's huge for Mahomes. It's huge for everyone. This is a left tackle you traded for last year. You want him there. You want him in the building, and it's good to have him back. Cord. If the Chiefs were to sign another free agent, who would you want them to sign? Oh, I don't even know, man. I've been saying a defensive end forever, but once you got Carlos Dunlap, I think you filled that spot. If you wanted another depth pass rusher, I wouldn't say no. Maybe a corner with Rashad Fenton still on PUP if you wanted to get a vet in there, although Joshua Williams has done some nice things. The day 3 rookie draft pick, he looks like a guy who could step in and give you some run. But, I don't think you need another receiver. If you wanted to go get someone like an Emmanuel Sanders or Cole Beasley, sure, you could do that. But I think you're in a pretty good spot overall. Okay, Paddock 2, how many offensive linemen will Kansas City keep? 8, 9? I like 9 or 10, honestly. 8 leaves you a little thin. So you look at this depth chart right now. Let's just say Lucas Niang is healthy and doesn't start the year on PUP or IR. Let's say you got those 5 right there, left to right: Brown, Tooney, Humphrey, Smith, and Niang. I think Darian Kinnard's a lock to make this team, the rookie. Andrew Wiley's going to make this team. So that's 7. I think Nick Allegretti will probably make it. That would be 8. And then Jaron Christian and or Roderick Johnson as another tackle would give you 9 or 10 if you carried 2 of them. Maybe Prince Tega Wanogho, who's also on PUP, could be in the mix as well. So, yeah, I think at least 9. They might keep Austin Ryder as a backup center. I don't know. So, yeah, there's certainly some guys that are going to be competing for roster spots. But I'll say 9 or 10, not 8 or 9. Superman says, with Orlando Brown back, who starts at right tackle if Lucas Niang isn't healthy? So we just showed you the depth chart, but my gut tells me Andrew Wiley. He did it a lot last year. He started a bunch of games for this team at both guard and tackle. I think Andrew Wiley is going to start at right tackle, at least at first, if Niang isn't back and ready to go. And even if he does get cleared, they still may start Wiley to start the year just because he will have gotten a lot of reps and he's fully locked and loaded. So I will say Andrew Wiley. But what do you guys think? You're in charge. You're Andy Reid. Who should start at right tackle while Lucas Niang is out? Is it Andrew Wiley, Darian Kinnard, Jaron Christian? Get your votes in down in the comments. Who should start at right tackle for Kansas City? Mike Tilson with a question: if the Chiefs make the AFC Championship, who do you think would be the toughest opponent? Even though they've had their number, I still think Buffalo. I mean, last year, the Bills, went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs and outplayed them for good chunks of that game. Obviously, Kansas City found a way with the magical 13-second drive to force overtime, and then, of course, won the coin flip. Sure, you could say Cincinnati, who double-dipped the Chiefs last year, but I just think Buffalo's more explosive, honestly, with Josh Allen. I think they're a team. I think now with Deshaun Watson potentially only getting a 6-game suspension, they could be a dangerous team that makes the playoffs and makes a run. But I will lean Buffalo as the toughest opponent in a potential AFC Championship game. Chiefs Kingdom with the question: do you think Sky Moore will ever be a superstar? Superstar is a strong word. Like, Tyreek Hill was a superstar. Travis Kelce's a superstar. Patrick Mahomes is a superstar. Can he get to that level? Like, a tick below that would be someone like, I don't know, like an Amari Cooper or a Brandon Cooks or someone like that. I think he could for sure get to that level. Can he be just an absolute superstar? Time will tell. He's looked good in camp so far, so we'll have to wait and see. Sam Banks says, who's impressed you the most at training camp? Right on cue. Probably Sky Moore. You could argue Juju's made a few more plays, but he's a vet. He's been there and done that. Sky Moore missed a lot of the offseason program and has come in here and looked arguably like the Chiefs' best receiver early on. Now, we'll see how he looks further and further into camp after preseason games, more padded practices go by, etc. But Sky Moore's impressed me a lot. Juju's been impressive. Isaiah Pacheco is a guy who's made some plays. Frank Clark's had a nice little camp so far. So those are a few guys, but Sky Moore and Juju in particular have really stood out. Rene Rodriguez, is this McColl's breakout year? It's now or never, right? He's done some things at camp, but he hasn't stood out as much as some of those other receivers. So we'll see. I tend to think he kind of is who he is. He's a nice kind of secondary type of receiver. He's never going to be a number one, but he can do some different things and make some big-time plays for you. Be sure to follow the Chiefs Report on Rumble. The link is right there, rumble.com/ChiefsTV. We're live on Rumble every Monday as well as YouTube at 3 o'clock Central. Plus, we publish all of our videos over there every single day. If you want another way to support the show, follow us over there, rumble.com/ChiefsTV. Link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Oh, there's McCole Hardman. He says he's going to ball out and have an 1,100-yard season. I hope so, man. Make the Chiefs make a hard decision in free agency next year. That should be your goal if this is actually McCole Hardman. I hope you're right, man. But we'll see. We'll see. I got to see it to believe it. I think 700-800 yards more likely, but 1,100, that'd be fantastic on a contract year. Jobly Gliver. How do you think Karlaftis and Dunlap will do? I think bringing in Dunlap helps Karlaftis, take some pressure off. Now you potentially may have 4 really good pass rushers in Chris Jones, Carlos Dunlap, Frank Clark, if he can stay locked in like he has been at the start of camp, and then of course George Karlaftis. The Dunlap signing was huge because you needed another guy in the mix that could go rush the passer. He's capable of doing that, and plus I think Michael Dana as a depth rotation pass rusher can give you 3, 4, 5 sacks as well. Latin Assassin, Eric Fisher would be a great pickup for insurance. Yeah, I mean, look, if Eric Fisher wanted to come in for the vet minimum or $2 or $3 million and be this team's swing tackle, I'm in. Especially if he can play some at right tackle with Lucas Niang banged up. He's never really done that in the NFL. He's strictly played on the left side for the most part. But, if he wants to be a swing tackle, play some right for you, I'm in. I feel like he could potentially start for some teams, so you might wait for that opportunity. But, yeah, I mean, this team knows Fish. He knows this team, so I'm certainly not closing that door if I'm Kansas City. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Chiefs Report for more Chiefs updates because we're getting closer and closer to 31,000 subs. You guys can help us get there, trying to get there well before week 1. So subscribe to the channel. We will have the latest updates coming out of training camp on a daily basis. So hit that big red button and subscribe. Kenny Powers signed Randy Gregory. Nah, he's not a free agent. He's with the Denver Broncos. But appreciate the question, Kenny. If you have any other questions, be sure to hit us up in the comments section. Be sure to use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions on the show, like Kevin here. Do you think with Orlando coming back that it's almost guaranteed an extension happens next offseason? I wouldn't say that, but what I would say, Kevin, is him not showing up would have lowered his chances of getting an extension. He needs another year of really good tape, more consistent tape, and if he puts that out there, he's going to get paid. Whether it's by this team or another team, Orlando Brown will get paid next offseason, I believe. Sure, he could get tagged again, but another year of the tag. Next year it's $20 million, and then he's in a great spot for the next year to make $25, $26, $27 million with the cap keep going up. So he's in a good spot. Just needs to get in here and perform at a high level this year. Who's going to have more sacks this season? Type D for Carlos Dunlap. Type C for Frank Clark. Curious to see what you guys think down in the comments. D for Carlos Dunlap, or you can type C for Frank Clark. Appreciate all the questions. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. It's at HGramNFL, at HGramNFL. You can also follow me on Instagram at HGramNFL. Same handle for both social media platforms. So give me a follow on social media, and we will continue to update you guys with the latest Chiefs news and rumors over there. Get some shout-outs here, and then you guys need to load up some more questions for our second mailbag. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. Type D for Dunlap, C for Clark. Kevin says Dunlap, so does Jeremiah. Sam says Clark. Broyo says Clark. Landon says Dunlap. Boomer says Dunlap. Paul says Dunlap. Justin says Dunlap. Chris says Clark. Kyle says Clark. Mike and Newton, or Newton says Clark. Mike says Dunlap. So pretty split. I think a few more Dunlaps, but pretty darn close. Oh, here we go. David Hurley sent in a $1 super chat. Appreciate it, David. You can ask a question next time when you send in that super chat. We appreciate the donation. All right, one more mailbag here. Hashtag Chiefs or super chat to get your questions on the show. We need to get a few more loaded up so we can answer a few here before we sign off. So if you got any questions, use hashtag Chiefs or you can super chat to get your questions on the show. We got a few loaded up that we will start with here. Kevin just sent one in as well. So hashtag Chiefs Super Chat. Should have a couple more plants in there. Boomer says hashtag Chiefs in the chat as well. All right, appreciate you guys. We will answer all your questions coming up for the next 8 or 10 minutes or so stay tuned. Before we get into today's Chiefs mailbag, I just want to give you a few reasons why you should subscribe to the channel. I got 5 reasons here, producer Trace, so we got to go through them here on the Chiefs Report. Number 1, training camp updates pretty much every day, everything happening out at St. Joseph. We're going to have you covered here faster than anyone else. Also, the latest news and rumors in general, whether it's from training camp, away from camp, whatever it is, we're going to have you covered. If there's crazy trade rumors out there, we'll bring you those as well. Weekly live shows here on YouTube and over on Rumble. Also, every Monday, 3 o'clock Central Time, if there's major breaking news, we'll go live for those situations as well. And audience interaction with our weekly mailbags, Q&As, and other ways we interact with you guys with our questions that we present to you on the show, the shout-outs we give. No one's doing what we're doing here at the Chiefs Report. So subscribe to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button, and we're going to continue to keep you guys in the loop here on the Chiefs Report. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into your mailbag questions. I'm Harrison Graham. Welcome into the Chiefs Report. It is mailbag time here on the show, so load up those questions by using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we will be able to answer as many as we can. Boomer Miller, I want Robert Quinn on the Chiefs, he says. Listen, I would take Robert Quinn. Now, the latest out of Chicago is that he doesn't want to get traded. Bears don't want to trade him. So we'll see. I could see him being a midseason trade acquisition for a team if the Bears aren't in contention, where there's a decent chance they won't be, that they could flip him at the deadline for some draft capital. So keep an eye on that. I don't think it'll happen before week 1, but I think Robert Quinn would be a nice addition to this pass rush. Chris Vogue, should they look into trading for Miles Sanders? I mean, it depends what you're giving up. I like Miles Sanders, but I'm not giving up more than a 5th-round pick for a running back unless they're special. And he's not special. He's good, but he's not special. So probably not. I mean, you got plenty of backs. You got Clyde, Rojo, Pacheco now, Jarrett McKinnon, Derek Gore. I mean, you got 4 or 5 backs that are at least decent rotation backs. Plus, Miles Sanders had 0 touchdowns last year. I actually forgot about that stat. Shout out producer Trace, less than 800 yards. So, sure, a late-round pick, but even then, you got plenty of backs in the rotation. Almighty Goat, who should I draft tonight first? Travis Kelce or Patrick Mahomes? Fantasy football. Okay. Probably Kelce. If you get Kelce on your fantasy team, you pretty much win the tight end position every week, and that's a huge advantage. Mahomes obviously is a good fantasy quarterback, but the difference between QB1 and like QB10 in fantasy isn't that great unless you're in a specific league where quarterbacks are on an inflated scale. So I would say Kelce unless the scoring favors quarterbacks in your league. Mahomes says, rank the Chiefs' top 4 wide receivers based on training camp so far. I would say up to this point, I would rank them as follows. I would go Juju number 1. Him and Sky Moore have been close, but I'll favor the veteran. He's made some acrobatic plays. Sky Moore, I'd put him 2. Now, this is not necessarily saying wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, yada, yada, yada. I'm saying based on performance so far, and all 4 of these guys have made plays. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who had a great OTAs and minicamp period, he's been good, not as good as he was during those practices, though. And then McCole Hardman 4. Not because he hasn't made plays, just because these other guys have made more. So I would rank them like that. I think all 4 have a chance to have an impact here in 2022. Who's going to have the most yards out of these 4 this year? Type 1, if you think it's Juju Smith-Schuster. Type 2, if you think it'll be Sky Moore. Type 3, if you're going with MVS. Or Type 4, if it's McCole Hardman. I will lean on Juju here. I think he's got the best chance to be a 1,000-yard guy, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Josh and Alyssa Martinson, why didn't the Chiefs not try to get DK during free agency? Well, he wasn't a free agent. He was under contract. You could say, why didn't they trade for him? I honestly don't think he was available. Maybe if you traded 2 first-round picks to Seattle, you could have gotten him, but I don't think Kansas City wanted to do that. They only wanted to pay Tyreek Hill $24-25 million, and that's what DK Metcalf got. So they probably didn't want to commit to that money either. So, yeah, I mean, I think those are a couple of reasons why. Chris Vogues, they should get Deshaun Jackson. I don't know how much D-Jack has left in the tank, and I think he's wide receiver 5 at best if you bring him in here. So I actually don't have a ton of interest in Deshaun Jackson. He's had a great career. He obviously has the connection to Andy Reid, and I think stylistically he actually fits with Patrick Mahomes, but I just think at his advanced age, 36, whatever he is, that I don't think it's going to happen. Sam Bank, is Clyde Edwards-Helaire ready to be the number 1 running back? If he's not, then he won't be, because the Chiefs have other options. They brought back Jarrett McKinnon. They signed Ronald Jones. This Isaiah Pacheco kid continues to draw hype in training camp. So it's, I don't want to say it's now or never for Clyde, but to be this team's number 1 back, yeah, it's kind of now or never for him, I would say. Kevin, do you think Mahomes creates another dynamic duo with Juju or Sky? I think in general they're going to spread the ball out more, but I do think those are the 2 guys that if one of them does take off and have, 85, 90 catches over 1,000 yards, whatever it is, I do think it would be one of these 2. Valdez-Scantling will be smaller volume but bigger plays probably. McCole Hardman will be somewhere in between in all reality. So it's possible, but I think Mahomes to Kelce will be the dynamic duo, and then these other guys will get their opportunities as well. Now, Mint Mobile is sponsoring today's show, and they're an awesome cell phone wireless company because they're trying to save you money. They have plans starting at just $15 per month. Inflation is impacting all of us, and I, for one, am saving money by switching to Mint Mobile. And the best part about it, I was able to keep my same phone and switch, and phone number, by the way, and switch to Mint Mobile like that. It took about 15 minutes. They sent me a digital eSIM card. Didn't have to go wait in a line in a store or anything like that. Didn't have to go get a new phone and pay $600. Same phone, just switch providers, and I've got high-speed data just as much as I did before, if not more. Unlimited talk and text, and that free mobile hotspot has been a nice benefit as well. Was able to take advantage of that on my international trip in Italy. mintmobile.com/chatsports. Head over there today to get unlimited premium wireless with plans starting at just $15 per month. That link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Newton Brown, how confident are you in Clyde's ability to stay healthy this season? Slight scare last week. Yeah, I think that pupless thing for him was more of just like a little maneuvering from the Chiefs. I don't think he's really, there's any injury concern at the moment. But if anything, I'm more worried just because of his history, not because of whatever last week was. He has not shown an ability to play a 16 or 17 game season up to this point. He's kind of been in that 12-13 range. So, yeah, I mean, I have some concerns there, but again, I'll just point to the depth on this depth chart. I think you got other good options, and if Clyde goes down, someone's going to be ready to step up. Jordan Francis, should the Chiefs be a number 1 offense in 2022? In the NFL, I wouldn't say I expect them to be the number 1 offense, but they should be top 5. I mean, anytime you got Patrick Mahomes, you should have a top 5 offense, especially when it comes to just scoring points per game. So, yeah, top 5 for sure. Maybe they compete for that top offense, but be a lot of good offenses this year. For the Kingdom, who's the Chiefs sleeper to monitor? We've mentioned him once or twice here, but I'll give you an offensive one and a defensive one. On offense, I'll go Isaiah Pacheco, the 7th-round rookie out of Rutgers. On defense, I'll go linebacker Leo Chenal. I think with the pads coming on here, he's really going to kind of up his game. He's a really physical player. He can rush the passer, cover a little bit. So I think those are a couple of players to monitor at camp and to keep an eye on as guys who could make an impact maybe a little bit earlier than we initially expected. Who is your top Chiefs sleeper? Who's a player that's going under the radar that you're keeping an eye on? Let us know in the comments, and curious to see why you picked that player. So explain why you did. Broyo, how many yards could Kelce get during 2022? I mean, if the last 6 years tell us anything, the floor is 1,000 yards, the ceiling is 1,400. So I expect an 1,200 yard season with 7 to 10 touchdowns. That's kind of what he's done for 6-7 years now. Mike Marshall, should the Chiefs get another wide receiver? You could. I don't think it's needed. You got 4 guys that you should be comfortable with Juju, Sky Moore, Hardman, and MVS. Josh Gordon's in there competing, Doris Fontaine, a couple other guys. So, yeah, I mean, sure you could, but I don't think it's necessary. Josh and Alyssa, why do you think Tyreek keeps taking shots at the Chiefs? I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this a few times. I think Tyreek Hill misses Kansas City. That's my theory. I think he wanted to be here. He has said he wanted to be here. He said he would have taken less to stay with the Chiefs, but that the contract wasn't close enough, so he had no choice but to go to Miami. So I think he misses Kansas City, at least playing for the team. I'm sure he's liking living in Miami better, but that's really all that makes sense to me. So otherwise, I would simply be guessing. All right, appreciate all the questions that we got on today's show. Hit that subscribe button here on the channel if you haven't already. We'll continue to keep you guys in the loop with the latest Chiefs news and rumors coming out of training camp, and everything else that happens around this team, we're going to have you covered here on the channel. All right, who is your top Chiefs sleeper? Let us know, and then we'll just sign off here, Trace. No loop today. Top Chiefs sleeper. Ooh, Brian Cook. That's a good one, Landon. If anybody else has any, we'll give you guys a shout out, and then we'll go ahead and call it quits here. Surprise players. He says Pacheco and Willie Gay. Hoping Sue comes in as a vet man. We'll see on Ndamukong Suh where he ends up signing Latin Assassin, but up to this point, tough to say. Cole Keller says Darian Kennard. Brandy says Leo Chenal. I think those are a couple of guys to monitor as well. All right, appreciate you guys. Shout out to Trace Gerard for producing today's show. A couple more, Josh Gordon and Juju. I don't think Juju's in the sleeper category. Josh Williams, that's a good one as well. Leo Chenal coming in. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys soon here on the channel.